Well, evening and good day, good people of the interwebs. Yeah, I sound kind of depressed or something. I don't know. Anyway, this is an article that was shared to me by Sheena, and this is about a popular trend that is happening within the world of gaming. And see that little bitch of a mouse. This is about the world's fastest gamers. You know, and better as speedrunners. I'm surprised I haven't killed that mouse yet. Okay, let me just do this. For the world's fastest gamers, failure is just one bad jump away by Ryan Rigney. Now, of course, we all have heard of speed gaming, or SDA, or we've all heard about speed gaming, and it is a thing, usually, that when people do these sorts of things, they're doing it for a charity cause of proportions, and they usually do it for a week or possibly a weekend, depending. And before I start, I had to say that I do not watch these things. I do not watch something like this, because I don't really spend like my weekend watching a weekend long stream. I just don't. I got other things I do, and as no as and really, I mean, no offense, but there are other things I have to do with my time and whatnot. This is one of them. I have other things I have on my own how should I say this? My own schedule. So keep in mind, I have plenty to say. I have my afterthoughts afterwards, but I'm just letting you know. Cosmo Wright knows the Legend of Zelda Wind Waker better than anyone, maybe even the people who made it. The 23-year-old from Chicago is the world's fastest player of the GameCube adventure game, which came out in '03. He spends thousands of hours obsessively playing this one game over and over, shaving seconds off his time until he has completed in less than 4.5 hours. About a month ago, Wright embarked on a new challenge, the HD remake of the game that Nintendo released on its new Wii U platform. He's going to get the record in that too, and broadcasting all of his practicing on Twitch, which we all know. On September 22nd, 6,000 people were watching Wright play. Link, the protagonist of the Zelda series, is down to his last little bit of health. Wright plants a bomb down at his own feet, seemingly a suicidal move. The bomb explodes and Link loses the last bit of health. But it's not game over yet. Instead, Link flies to the sky. Wright pounds on his controller, averaging an insane 13 button input per second, as Link's nearly dead corpse rises off the ground, twitching in the air and emitting a series of truncated staccato yelps. He floats all the way up to the tower, a tower that Link is not yet meant to access. Wright is speedrunning the new version of Wind Waker, attempting to exploit every single loophole in the gameplay, including bugs that Nintendo never fixed in an attempt to finish the adventure in the fastest time possible. Speedrunning is something akin to setting high scores in games that don't have a scoring system, a way for top-tier players to rank themselves. With a few exceptions, speedrunning is usually not something for which these games reward you. You get the same ending in Mario 64, whether you finish it in 3 hours or 30 hours. But top speedrunners can become internet famous thanks to the popularity of streaming sites like Twitch. You know, Twitch can be a bitch sometimes. With a lot of these viewers, they're pretty much living what these speedrunners, says Twitch community manager Jet Ray. It's very authentic. They're watching them do it live and watching them physically perform it. They're watching them face challenges and meet new obstacles and have these really great runs that end in heartbreak. Heartbreak about sums it up. For as fast as these players are whipping through the game they have set out to master, speedruns can actually take many hours for each attempt. Writes Wind Waker record is 4 hours, 27 minutes, and 53 seconds. That means speedruns can play, and the audience can watch for the better part in an evening, only to make one tiny mistake and have to junk the whole thing. The agony of defeat comes much more often than the thrill of victory. Many speedruns. Remember the time that Mike Sigler, the record holder of Nintendo's 96 game, Mario 64, was tracking ahead of his own record, but blew it by missing an easy jump. It was like watching Tiger Woods with a tee shot. 8,000 people watching horror. There goes the world record, one wrote. Please kill me, and another. Sigler didn't let that flop get him down. Wound up setting a world record the following day, and since January has held the number one slot, that's with a run that's a full 3 minutes faster than his previous personal best. Speedruns are not inherently important by themselves, says Wright. They become important when an audience is paying attention and is captivated. Practice of recording and posting one's video game completions times to the internet has roots that stretch back all the way to the early 1990s with games like Doom and Quake. But Nathan Junkie, a staff member at SDA, or Speed Demos Archives, says that speedrunning was not yet a thing until 2003, shortly after the release of Nintendo's GameCube game, Metroid Prime. Unlike Zelda, the Metroid series actually did reward players for finishing the first-person space adventure more speedily. It inspired a growing group of players, mostly posting on message boards like GameFAQs, who began capturing and posting videos of their full playthroughs. Back then, in the days of dial-up, it could take days to download one of these hour-long files. Despite these limitations, the ability to share video footage of runs allowed speedrunners to collaborate and learn from each other. People were watching one another every move, says Junkie, and the effort was that information about time-saving tricks built up more and more rapidly. Soon, the speedrunners found that they wrung Metroid Prime dry of its secrets. At least, as far as they knew, hungry for something else, the Metroid players began to branch out to new games. Speed Demos Archives began to accept and post runs for almost any game, quickly branching the de facto hub of speedrunning leaderboards. Today, speedrunning is so popular that some games like Cosmo Rank can make a decent income off the advertising that runs over their streams. The most popular speedrunners understand that if they want to make money, and they are first and foremost in the entertainment business. Daniel Gorongai Sword, a 17-year-old high school student from Stockholm, Sweden, has become the most popular speedrunner in The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, even though he isn't necessarily the best player of the game. When Swords does his runs of the 2000 N64 game, he jokes around, laughing and replying to things posted in the chat channel by his viewers. Whenever he finds himself with downtime, waiting for the game to catch up with him, basically, Sword entertains his viewer by showboating, performing complicated stunts, and using master-level glitches and exploits. Sword estimates that he spent over 1,800 hours practicing and attempting speedruns in Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. This is normal for a serious player. I'd say it takes about 100 hours to learn a game, says right. That's about the point you know if you can actually enjoy speedrunning it or not. From there, assuming the game is mildly complex, you could spend thousands of hours while practicing and attempting runs if you really want to. Because of high level precision needed to pull off even basic maneuvers at a speedrun worthy level, players can spend years improving their top times. Getting the perfect run is basically an impossibility, says Wright. There's always room for improvement. This is where it becomes interesting to see who can hold on and actually improve it, and who gives up. Sigler is well known for spending entire days in front of his Twitch stream, repeatedly trying and retrying to top his own records in Mario 64. Once, after collecting the 90th of the game's 120 collectible stars, he sighed deeply and declared, "I've been playing for 7 hours. I haven't eaten yet." Sigler did not respond to repeated requests from Wire to participate in this story. At this level of play, the act of moving characters around in a game world becomes second nature for speedrunners. At some point, they say it's all become instinctual, and they no longer actively think about the inputs needed to perform basic actions. That's why speedrunners are so fascinating to watch, especially if you're already familiar with the game. Mario 64 is not a forgiving game, especially by today's standards. Nearly 20 years old, Nintendo's designers were still coming to grips with how to create a 3D world, and the result is rough around the edges. You have to fight with the virtual camera and strain your wrists on the uncomfortable controller. Some of the levels are deviously designed, and yet Sigler runs through them like he's playing hopscotch, stringing together death-defying leaps with perfect timing, one after the other. It's mesmerizing, like watching a magic show. With thousands of hours of practice coming down to shaving a few seconds, no wonder that speedrunners can get a touch competitive if their thrones are threatened. Wright briefly lost his Wind Waker title earlier this year when a player going by the handle DMoon9 entered the final showdown with the game's big bad guy a full 2.5 minutes faster than Wright had ever done it. 5,000 people watched DMoon9 as he neared victory, spamming the live chat window with memes, profanity, and full-blown essays expressing their love or hatred for him. The fight was over 7 seconds after it began. The clock stopped at 4 hours, 34 minutes, and 9 seconds, and the crowd went wild. "That was the run," DMoon9 said, breathing heavily into his mic, exhausted. "That was the damn run." Wright held and lost records in plenty of other games. The PC shareware game Commander King 4, Sega Super Monkey Ball, Konami's Castlevania for N64, but Wind Waker was different. That was his game. Wright sent DMoon9 a congratulatory message on Twitter, then got to work. The two spent the next months taking turns one-upping each other, but eventually Wright established a new record. 4 hours, 27 minutes, 53 seconds. That no one other than DMoon9 has been able to get close to. Now with Wind Waker HD finally out in the wild, a new group of speedrunners have emerged, and Wright is nowhere to be found on the leaderboard. Nintendo didn't just upgrade the visuals, but when they built the Wii U edition of Wind Waker, it also dug into the code a bit and made several tweaks to the gameplay. And that changes the game for speedrunners. Taking advantage of the glitches and bugs left in the game's code is an accepted and even encouraged way to beat the games quickly and set new records. Sometimes new glitches are discovered after old records are set in stone. Earlier this year, one player discovered an incredibly useful glitch in another popular game, Ocarina of Time. The glitch allowed players to teleport from one point very close to the beginning of the game straight to the final battle at the end. As one writer put it, the glitch skipped over 12 years of Zelda's speedrunning discoveries, a rich tapestry of glitches and exploits, destroyed in the single instant of the trick's discovery. Suddenly, the vast majority of the little tricks and exploits that speedrunners have painstakingly unearthed to get their Ocarina times down were useless, since that 99% of the game could now be skipped. Today, the current world record for Ocarina time is held by Cosmo Wright at 19 minutes, 37 seconds. Wright wants to get the world record on both versions of Wind Waker, and rests on discovering and memorizing every tiny detail between the two. That's why there's a document on his hard drive that lists and details exactly 48 glitches and exploits between the two games, complete with notes that explain how things have changed between the two versions. Zombie hovering. The speedrunner's term for the bizarre thing that Wright was doing to Link's corpse. It's still in the Wii U version, but it didn't seem like it would be useful. When Wright landed after his descent, Link died, rendering the whole flight a waste of time. "They patched it," he screamed at the camera. "Oh my god, they patched it!" And more useful glitches are gone in the new version. One is called the storage glitch. If you climb Link up to a ledge, pull out his magic wand, sounds dirty. At the moment you drop off the cliff, something weird would go wrong with the game's collision detection. You'd be able to move around while opening a treasure chest, slip through tiny cracks, walk straight up certain walls, or, most usefully, rocket at top speed across the game's massive open world. Most people wouldn't be able to tell whether it had worked or not, but it lets you do crazy stuff, Wright says. Some of the glitches remain. One, named Cosmo Hopping after Wright by his fans, lets you leap sideways alongside a tiny ledge to save 20 seconds on a particular puzzle. Still in the Wii U version, but Wright is having trouble with the technique he pioneered. He uses GameCube's version on-screen interface as a guide to line up his jumps perfectly, but the heads-up display on the widescreen Wii U version is totally different. Wright isn't posting times for Wind Waker HD yet. He's practicing, but he's keeping tabs on the leaderboards. Admits he's a little worried about strong competition from the current record holder, a 15-year-old from Los Angeles, who uses the handle Gymnast86. Carl Wernicke is Gym86's real name. He's only one of 12 people in the world with the ability to beat the original Wind Waker in fewer than 5 hours. Wernicke says he'll hold on to his record in Wind Waker HD for as long as he can, but that marching band practice might get in the way of his training regimen. That's good. You need a life. Wernicke told Wired via Skype that he has some advantages over Wright, but that he knows that Wright is going to learn Wind Waker faster than I will. Wright is just as confident that he will take the crown from Wernicke. It's definitely going to happen before the end of this year, he says. I've just got to practice a little bit more. I don't know what's different between... there's a difference between speedrunning, doing a long play, and doing Let's Play. And for those who do Let's Plays, you know what you got to go through. If you're doing an RPG, you're going to do on and off screen grinding. The point is you want to get through point A to point B and eventually reach the end of the game in about less parts that you make it. And you want to make sure that everything works the way it should work. You don't want to exploit any kind of glitches that might hurt you in the process of said beating the game as a whole. Whenever I find myself doing a very hard game, I try to give myself a little bit of an advantage. Thus, that's why I use certain codes. Certain codes that might help me to get through the game a little bit more smoother than the normal way. Because anybody can play a game and get through it, but sometimes if you play an older game, you somehow realize the difficulty of it when you actually put your hands on it. When you actually play it through it. Unlike when you were younger, it is a whole new difference altogether. Thus, that's why I'm a Let's Player. Sometimes, if I feel like it, I will speedrun through a game myself. But that's rarely when I feel like I need to speed through a game. It's like I have certain games I've done that were less than 10 parts. And I have about over 3,000 videos of footage that have been good and bad and sometimes meh. For speedrunners, I have to say this. Enjoy that youth while you can, but make sure that you do remember to eat, take a break, and not turn zombie. It's good that, that you play a game that you're doing it just to provide some capital for yourself. I'm not knocking it. But there are some things you have to do in order to make sure that you do give yourself optimum proficiency when you do this sort of thing. Especially when you're doing a game like Zelda or Mario or even Metroid. Hell, I'd even add Resident Evil, Parasite Eve, Clock Tower, and pretty much others to the mix. And I want to say this, honestly, if it worked for you, that's good. But also, you should realize that if life is going to get in the way, you should deal with life first. Don't try to put life on hold. Because, as a speedrunner, you always got the weekend. To speedrunners, you always got the weekend. And, if you want to do a week long stream, well, be prepared. If you're going to be doing something like this, something as crazy as that, get yourself a lot of munchies on hand. Because you're going to be in for a long haul. If you're going to be doing a game for as long as it takes, about maybe 3 hours, 4 hours, or whatnot, you best buy yourself like $20 worth of food. You better make sure that you turn off everything that might cause you to basically say, okay, you know what? Click. I'm not doing this. Click. Okay. Turn off every little social media you might have, except for what you're going to work with, which is namely Twitch or Justin TV. And yeah, that's all I had to say about speedrunning. Speedrunning is a thing, but I don't see myself being part of that. I like where I am. I like providing commentary and like playing a game and like spending time on it. To speedrunners, you have all the respect in the world. And what little respect that I have for some things that happen in the world, I have it. I mean, you guys out there that actually spend time doing crazy, messed up shit, be grateful you have an audience that will, of course, watch you go through this and provide color commentary on the side as you're doing this. It's okay. I understand. It's not a bad thing, but, for what it's worth, yeah, it's good. If I didn't mention long players, you long players, man, you are the epitome of video gamers. You are the epitome of true video gamers. Just like speedrunners are. I had to give it up for those who are actually doing games like, old games, new games. Some that are on PC, some that are on PS3, some that are on 360, some that are on Wii, some that are on 3DS, some that are on DS, some that will take 3 hours, some that will take 12 hours to do. I mean, you have mad respect for me. You have mad respect when you go through a game without saying a word and you're just like, you're focusing on the game. You're playing as though you're a 5-year-old and you're a 5-year-old or you're in your or a 12-year-old and you're going through a game and you know this game back to front because you've been practicing it. you have the utmost respect from me. Because let me tell you, it's not easy being a gamer. Especially these days. When you have life, I'm being real about this. When you have life that you really can't, that you truly, really can't ignore, and you have to deal with it, that's what you have to do. You have to, like, put the game aside, do what you gotta do in reality-based terms, and just go with it. It's not a bad thing. It's just, that's the way of the world. I have to share my 2 cents with this, because it's true. I know a friend of mine. His name Ryu. And when he streams, he usually does it for like maybe one night. One night of his busy schedule. Providing entertainment for a small group of people. Now be it for like very few people, like maybe 6 of us are sitting there, and we're all watching him play some random amount of games. Last night it was Parasite Eve 2 and Dark Arms Beastbuster 1999. He's played other games like Doom and Parasite Eve 1. He's done games like Legend of Zelda and Metroid. And he's done ROM hacks. He's done various forms of ROM hacks. And why am I mentioning him? Because he's just one of the very few people that I know that just, honestly, he just likes to play a game. He likes to play a game and, let it be known that he enjoys what he does. He just wants people to, take a chill pill, sit for a spell, enjoy a game, just like we all do. We just want to take a chill pill, play a game. We don't want no kind of harassment because, it's this one game, it's old and whatnot, and it's just like that sometimes. I know, because sometimes it's like that to me. Because I want to master a couple of games myself. I want to beat certain games, knock them off my list, so I don't have to do anything else but, rest and relax. Since it's the weekend, I'm going to do something short, something crazy, and probably something off my list. And with that, at the same time, just enjoy it. Just enjoy it for the complete stupidity of it. Because there are some games that are worth playing because it's stupid and you want to deal with it. But in any case, my thanks to Sheena for sending me this article. Because yes, I do believe that we as a community need a little more morale boosting. And we're not just talking about, people who do speed runs, but as a whole. Let's players, speed runners, long players, we're all gamers. We're no different than, we're no different than anybody else. We just do games differently. But we're all gamers nonetheless. That's the ism that needs to be known. We're all different, but we're all gamers all the same. That's my 2 cents about it. And I'm sticking to that. Anyway, I'm going to share this article with the rest of you guys so you can read for yourselves, and of course share your feedback about this subject if you so wish to. And with that, I am the Tenkaichi of Gaming, Ichigo Musco, and I'll see you soon with more videos.